Hello, welcome to Wally Bois, and I want to show you how to sharpen the cutter of a, FESTOOL Domino barrel. And this is the, it's a DF700XL. It's the bigger one that they make, and it's ideal for me because it does nice deep mortises, but also it does have 14mm wide. But what happens with these things is that the cutters, well, they become worn eventually. They're tungsten carbide, I believe, so they're extremely hard, but eventually they do wear up. And either you've got to replace them, and at 50-60 quid a pop, you know, they're a little bit pricey and a little bit rich for my blood, to be honest. So I tend to sharpen them. Now, the thing you've got to remember about one of these machines is, let's bring you a bit further down so you can see. Right, the thing you've got to remember about this machine is that the design of the cutter is quite unique. Alright, but before we get into that, if you can be most kind and click like and subscribe, and maybe that little bell icon, because then you get a warm fuzzy feeling in your pocket, and that'll be me uploading another video. And if you've got any questions, you know, leave it in the comments below. So okay, so how do we sharpen the FESTOOL Domino cutter? It's actually quite simple. Because the thing you have to remember with this particular machine is that it doesn't actually cut all the way along the cutter. So if the flutes become worn, it doesn't really matter. They're only used for clearing the debris out of the mortise. It's the outside wings of the cutter that does the work. Let me show you. First of all, we have to remove the carriage and the included little rubbishy spanner. Tell you what, let me put you somewhere where I don't feel like I'm being crushed into a corner. That's a bit better. Anyway, so we use a little spanner that comes with the FESTOOL, and on this side of the machine, it's this little green thing, right? And that's your carriage release. So what you do is you push that up, down there, like so you go underneath it, you see that? So you go underneath it and you're lifting it up, and then the whole thing will pull out. It's really easy. It's a well-designed bit of kit. We don't need this bit at the moment. We need that when we actually start using it, but this is our cutter. Now, what makes this machine special is that the cutter don't just rotate, it goes from side to side. Now, I suppose I could show you that. So first of all, let's plug it in. I'm in a bit of a mess. They're special little plugs, these are. They're plug-up plugs. Very easy to use. Just twist it in like so. Right, plug it in. Remind me to unplug it before you start sharpening it though, wouldn't you? Right, so look at the cutter. That's the cutter. Now, if you watch that, you'll see that that cutter don't just rotate, it goes da 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 da. Right, so you know. It's like magic! Brilliant bit of engineering, and for that reason, they've got a very good patent. So you're not going to find any other machines other than FESTOOL that does this job. There are things called Duro Dowlers and stuff like that, but they're not a FESTOOL. They're not. No, there's no comparison. These things can create. That's a 12mm domino. Obviously, a little short off cut. That's a 12mm domino that I made myself. So I don't bother buying them and things. I just make them. So easy. So what we have is a cutter. But first of all, before we sharpen it, we have to remove it from the machine. And we make sure, yes, I have already unplugged it. Make sure your machine's unplugged, because it would make a nasty mess of your finger. Or fingers, or hand, or any other extremity. So what we have to do is we have to lock the spindle. And on the side here, there's a little button you push. So you push that little button in. And that locks. Oh, it's like magic. Right, okay, like so. And then what you have to do is grab it with you. Like that. That's usually really easy, but for some reason that was a bit. Okay, so you can twist it off there like so. Now, what I've done is I've made a jig. You know me, I like my jigs. Anything that makes life a little bit easier and more repetitive. So you can guarantee, or almost guarantee, it's going to be the same every time. Now let's have a closer look at this cutter. I hope I can get this to focus on there. Anyway. Right, that little cutter, the part that actually does the work is there, and on the other side, and obviously the centre part there. These parts here, they might get polished off, But if you think about it, as it goes in the hole like so, creating its mortise, that becomes the width of the mortise. So these parts here don't actually make contact. They don't provide any cutting ability whatsoever. All they do is provide a way for the debris to be extracted from your mortise. And that, together with your dust extraction system, it really helps clear it out. It does a good job. So let's just... Oh, there, look at that. Come back here, you. I have to keep on the time. Alright, so it stands to reason we don't need to touch this. We just need to touch that part, that part, that part. That's it. And these are tungsten carbide. So they're actually, I believe they are, but you certainly are actually. These are tungsten carbide cutters. Now, the thing about that is it's extremely hard, but you can sharpen them still. You can sharpen them using diamond. Yeah, reasonable quality diamond sharpener will sharpen that quite happily. But the thing you've got to remember is you want to try and maintain the angles the best that you can. Yeah, I'm not going to say you're going to sharpen and sharpen and sharpen this forever. Eventually, you're going to have to chuck that away and get a new one. But if you can get a bit more life out of it, why on earth not? And if you're like me, making your own dominoes, you can compensate for any reduction in size, which is negligible. There's no. You'd have to bring it down, like take ½ inch off the end for it to actually make a big difference on its width. You know, it makes a negligible difference. So, yeah, but anyway, if you make your own anyway, it wouldn't matter because you'd just make your dominoes to suit, wouldn't you? You know, to suit the hole. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert this into my little jig that I've made here. Now, it says domino and it's meant for the 12mm, and this is the 12mm cutter. Remember, the machine can go up to 14mm, but I've done this for the 12mm cutter. Now, there's a nut on the bottom, a bolt on the bottom, and that bolts into the bottom of this cutter. So it's the same thread rate, or within reason. That's fairly close. It's close enough for the grab. So all I do is I then screw that together, or tighten that up to grab. I suffer carpal tunnel syndrome, so I tend to drop things. Right, so what we do is we make sure that that's at the same angle, like so. And you have to go on both sides, like so. Yep, that is it. So it has to be in line that way. So effectively, as you can see there, the cut's facing that way. That's not perfectly true in line yet. That is now. We don't have to tighten it. All we've got to do is just that holds it. So then I go to my vise. So I'm going to put that plonk in the vise like so. Now I made it steps, it don't fall through, it's always the same position. So I've got like two little channels or rebates on the side there. And that just drops into the vise. Just makes it a little bit easier. So now it's held. So I do use lubricant. Ask the missus. Not bad. And I've got 2 diamond sharpeners here. Now these are not expensive diamond sharpeners. I got these on eBay, and they're from China, as a lot of stuff. China. I seem to be repeating that all the time. It's 1,000 grams to 400. I tend to start off with the 400 just to clean up, and then I finish off with 1,000. But I use oil. I know people use Windex and water and stuff like that, but I don't like it. Get yourself some ready specs, you know, some reading glasses, and these are quite high-powered ones that allows me to see what I'm doing. Now, the idea of this, it gives me the angle for the cut. So it just gives me a little bit of a guide on the actual cut itself. So turn around a little bit more. There you go. So I can now sharpen that bit quite happily. Right, but also, you can see the chamfer on the side here, that allows for the wing. So we'll be sharpening that way and that way. So let's bring it in a bit closer. So you can see what we're doing. There we go. Right. Don't forget, click like and subscribe. This works for all the cutters, apart from obviously you have to make a new jig for each one. So I literally on there like so, and I'm just using that as my guide. And I run up the side of the cutter. I'm almost guaranteeing I'll get reasonably the same angle every time. And on the side here. You can see where you're being, because you see obviously you clean off all the old dirt and grime and stuff. Now I'm going to go on to the 1000 grit. And I find this works quite satisfactory. You know, if you're that pedantic, well then buy new cutters. You know, be my guest. It's your money. I'd just rather save a little bit if I can. Go towards another machine. Right, now I've got to turn it around in the vise, because I like to work from right to left. You could carry on working from the other direction if you so wish. I just feel happier doing that way. Then we'll whack it back in the machine and I'll show you. Well, I made a couple of cuts in a piece of wood, I think, to see what the score is regarding the end result, in case you're doubting me. I should have shown you before I started. The thing is, it wasn't that long ago I actually sharpened it, so it's not really a huge issue. It definitely was getting tired, mind. Now, the really specs I got on aren't really the ones I normally use. I usually use 2.5 to 3 diopter. These are only 2s. My eyes are getting old. Well, I'm getting older. I'm 50. And because of that, your eyes get a little bit weak on the old lenses, so you find that you can't actually focus as close as you used to. Your lenses, stiffen up, so you get less range of focus, especially in close up. What common it is, unless you're long sighted, long distance sight. Maybe that'll be on that one. Cool, that's done. That's enough. That's pretty simple, isn't it? You know, just to give you a bit of a edge back onto your machine. You know, so if it saves you, buying another cutter, you know, it's it definitely is a good idea. I like to save a bit of money where I can. Right, let me go plonk that back into the FESTOOL. Really easy. We just spin that on there like so. Mind you, obviously don't cut yourself on here because you just sharpened it. These wings here on the side here can be touched up as well if you want. I'm not going to bother this time as I did last time, because they don't take a lot away, but that part of the tip of the cutter does actually do some work. Same obviously on the other side. They are cutting edges, but it's actually okay. It's mainly the tip that does the work. So grab our spanner, so we tighten that on there like so. We've got to tighten it back on. First of all, we've got to lock it off. You press this button on the side here again. It's a bit of fingers and thumbs. Then we tighten it. We don't have to go mad, just enough to grab it, just like that. And then we slide the carriage back on. Before I put the carriage back on, while I've got it off, I like to just wipe a little bit of oil or lubricant onto the shafts to make sure they're clean. Got a clean shaft. Get all sorts of complaints otherwise. Yep. That's like so. So normally obviously you'd have your dust extraction, but for the purpose of this little demonstration I'm going to show you cutting a bit of wood without the dust extraction. So just plug that back down there like so. I need a board and I need to plug it in again. Right, we have a piece of wood. Now I've got this on a rubber mat, which is quite good because these rubber mats, they grip your work. It just makes it a damn sight easier when you want to do simple, quick cuts and what have you. Otherwise you're going to end up having to worm you a little bit. Right, so let's plonk that in there. Let's do it full depth. No, yeah, full depth to see how well that does. Right, there we go. Wish me luck. Right, no dust extraction. But do you see how quick that went into there? Admittedly, that is a wormy bit of wood. Let's find a harder bit for you. Right, there's one there. Get rid of that. Yes, my dust extractor should be connected, but it's not. So now I'm going to do it on this piece. Now, if you cut through like a small piece of this and you've got to grip it with your hand like so, make sure it's wider than 70mm, otherwise you're going to put a hole in your finger. Right, if that ain't quick enough for you, or sharp enough for you, there's something wrong. Because that went in there like butter. Like butter. See? So, I don't know if it's the right size, but no, not quite, that's the wrong size. There you go. That goes in there, but generally speaking, that'd be well, it could be the loose one. Is it on the loose? Yeah, it's on the loose side. There's 2 settings on these. They've got a loose and a tight. So I can't set them tight, loose. But so, anyway, there you go. That's how you do it. So that's how you sharpen your FESTOOL Domino Dowler cutter for free. I like free. Especially if you think things cost. They're a bit pricey, aren't they? Anyway, thank you for watching. If it's kind, give us a like and subscribe. And maybe click the little bell icon because then you get a warm and fuzzy feeling in your pocket, and that'll be me uploading another video. Thank you for watching.